Hello and welcome to the first of hopefully many more to come of author podcasts here on booklover.com. Today we're lucky enough to be joined by acclaimed author, dog groomer and yachtsman, Mr. Will Mitchell. Pleasure to have you here today, Will.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So, just to break the ice and maybe introduce you to some newer, younger of our audience, people who maybe aren't too familiar with your back catalogue and your current work. I was just wondering if you could perhaps, I don't know, sum yourself up in 3 or 4 words.
How many? 3? Which one? 3 or 4?
3, then 4.
3 and then 4.
Or 7.
4 and then 3?
7.
7.
No, 3 then 4 words.
3 words, then 4 words.
3
3 words. I'm a writer. 4
Interesting.
words.
Hmm.
I am a writer.
See. I mean, for younger viewers, you may not know this man, but he's a titan of literature.
Mm-hmm.
His work spans how many years?
Long way.
But how many years in total?
What, all the work I've ever done?
Hmm.
Since I was just about 16.
So,
Long time.
Anyway, this man, some of the words he uses, some of the imagery he conjures through his use of language, and
Good of language.
you've created a few of your own words to truly express what you're thinking. You had to invent your own words.
Well, that's true. Quite often when I was writing my work, particularly in my new book, which I believe I'm here to talk about today, the book titled currently is The Horse That Never Grew Up. Originally it was called The Horse That Went AWOL. Something I'm going to talk about a bit later on. But the words that I created in the original draft of that book are quite hard hitting and to the point. I created one called Sublicious.
Sublicious. Could you define that?
You've heard of luscious,
Yes.
the word.
Yes.
You know of its definition.
I believe I do.
I changed that word to licious. I believed it sounded better off the tongue.
Right.
I added the word sub to the beginning.
A negative.
Because if you think, here is luscious, for the sake of my word, let's just call it licious. There's luscious, and anything below this line is sub-luscious.
I see.
So it's not
There's a logic behind this.
most of the time.
So on a sliding scale, could you show us where your word would be?
Well, there's luscious.
Right.
There's me.
That's your word.
That's me and my word.
That bottom
The
hand
word
is
is
sublicious.
representative of me. I am.
You believe that word encapsulates your
I
being.
have a symbiotic relationship with everything I write.
Really?
Most of the time.
See, many writers feel disconnected from their work.
I'm
but
very connected to it.
Could you maybe elaborate on that?
Well, quite often I will pour my heart out onto the sketch pad.
Not literally, of course.
I try, of course, like any artist would, to not let that happen.
Do you mean what you just said as perhaps what you writers call a metaphor?
A metaphor or an analogy. Essentially, yes.
It was untrue.
Untrue, I was lying.
It was flowery language for the sake of a vocation.
Yes, I was trying to impress you.
I mean, I was impressed.
I know you.
Don't let my my stoic appearance sway you. I am impressed.
You have no stoic appearance. I can see your eyes fluttering with pride of myself and my work.
That is my admiration coming through for your work.
I can smell it.
Well, thank you. I've tried to cover the smell, but evidently it comes through.
I can still smell it.
That's the smell of respect.
You can spray Oust or Febreze in the air all you like.
We tried.
But I can still smell it through those fragrances. And
Well,
that's what I can do as an artist, you see, is I can see the true colours of every object and organic thing that exists on this planet or any other planets.
So would you say your intelligence is above that of the average?
It's most certainly superior to any living thing I've ever come across.
Really?
Most certainly. At least any vertebra.
Vertebra?
Yeah.
What about reptiles? Or do you say the vertebra above the reptile?
Well, I've not
Or is the reptile a vertebra?
It has bones.
I think this is more of a question for a biologist, I would say.
Well,
we're straying from
I
the
know
literary...
about biology.
Do you?
Mm.
You've studied?
No.
But you know about it?
I know about it.
Have you...
No, I've not read anything.
No.
But it's in my heart.
You feel...
I was born knowing biology.
You feel you know what biology
I know that
essentially
I feel
is.
biology.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I mean, that must help with your art.
Sometimes. When I'm drawing like lizards and stuff.
Would you say you're similar to David Hirst in... You laugh, I mentioned David Hirst and you started laughing.
I can't stand him.
Do you really feel that strongly about him?
He is the mainstream equivalent of what I like to be to my audience.
I mean, he was not the first man to cut a shark in half.
No.
Or a sheep for that matter.
No, I've cut a sheep in half.
You did it back in...
April.
You're laughing. You're dismissing Damien Hirst's work.
I'm laughing because the guy is a joke. And I am a far better artist, writer, dog groomer and yachtsman than David Hirst.
Those are strong...
What's his name?
Damien Hirst.
David.
Have we been calling him David? See, I don't even bother with his work.
He is.
I'm not familiar
with
with
shit.
Is he? Would you?
To be honest, I'd rather not talk about Damien. He stole my ideas.
By cutting the sheep in half.
Stole a lot of my parcels.
See, you. Every time we mention him, you laugh at him.
I wish he would drop down dead, so that someone can come along, cut him in half, stick him in an art gallery in some kind of display cabinet, point at him and say, "Look at those lungs. Aren't they considerably smaller than the lungs of larger mammals, which, ironically, can't use a typewriter?"
Bold words. Bold words. But that's what we come to expect from you. Bold words.
Well, I am a wordsmith. I'm a penman, and I excel in the art of penmanship. And because of this, everything that I am is put down on paper.
I'm sorry to interject here,
No
but
problem.
your handwriting is notoriously
Scribbly.
childlike, I would say. But yet you consider yourself a penmanship. Penman.
I'm a penman.
Hmm.
I'm a wordsmith. I'm a penman.
Do you mean...
I'm the master of the biro and the warrior of the pencil.
Do you mean simply that you use a biro, or do you mean that you have mastered the art?
I'm good at using them.
You
I've always been good at using them since primary school.
You consider yourself at that level?
I was drawing smiley faces onto A4 bits of paper and blue tacking them onto the fridge when I was probably 6 years old.
6 years old?
With a biro.
With a biro?
Mm-hmm. So you can imagine what I'm like with it now.
Good, I imagine.
Really good, yeah. And I know when I'm going to run out of ink as well, so I always get another one spare. When
I mean, you can see the ink.
Smudges.
No, you through the biro.
Yeah.
Do you use a transparent biro?
I just feel it. The pen gets lighter.
Really, you've got that sensitive
I've got
fingers.
that delicate a touch that I can feel when the ink runs low.
Really.
And that's why I am good
See,
at what I do.
that's what separates you from.
And that's
other
what
artists.
makes me good at dog grooming too. But obviously, I'm not here to talk about my dog grooming.
No.
I feel like you're.
Although you do have a instructional manual out now on dog grooming.
I do, yeah. Produced by Penguin Books, The Art of Dog Grooming, and How to Do It Properly.
You laugh. You mean you must find this funny? You mean
it does annoy me when people don't do it properly. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of running a brush through a dog's hair.
Yeah. It's not. It's this. I'm an amateur dog groomer, and I've studied your work for years, and I can tell you, it's not.
hard.
It's not just about combing a dog.
No, it's not just about giving him a fluffy hairstyle.
You can get a comb. You can get a dog. You can comb that dog.
The thing is, getting a dog and getting a comb and letting the two meet together is not combing a dog.
there's an art, and then there's the act of combing a dog.
The act of combing the dog is the art.
But
But I do it in an artistic way, in
Yeah.
the clothes that I wear and stuff.
Yeah, it is impressive. I see you smiling. You must love this work. You must love
I love it because I have so many different.
combs. Is it? Or have I interrupted you there?
I have a lot of combs. I have 17 combs. They're all pretty much the same. But the point of this interview today is not to talk about my combs. And it's not to talk about my ability to groom a dog, because we've already discussed this. I'm sorry that I'm getting slightly infuriated.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm here to talk about my book.
I know. Getting back to the book,
Yes.
and we'll get on with the questions. I know you're a busy man. You've got a lot to do.
already late.
And we've already talked about Damien Hirst,
Yes.
which was one of the questions, and we can
rattled my bones, if I'm being honest.
we can see your
Discomfort.
when I mention his name, Damien Hirst. See, I can see you doing that. You did it there. I said it, Damien Hirst, and you did it again. Anyway, we'll get to the questions.
Yeah.
We'll get to the first question is from. Let me see where are my notes. It's from a woman called Margaret.
It's a strange name.
These days it is, but I believe.
How old is she?
I believe she was born not these days.
Oh, in older days.
Anyway, she asks, the title of your book is quite provocative. Could you please discuss?
Is it provocative? Provocative maybe to the mainstream audience, but not to the people that follow my work.
You feel they're missing... You feel you've used this shocking language and they have missed the satire.
I believe it's gone in one ear.
And out.
Oh no, not yet. It's gone in one ear. It's gone in the brain. And the words are rattling about, and then they come out the other way.
Reverberating around the skull.
Reverberating, like, what's that word mean? What's that word mean? What does he mean by the horse has gone lost? Straight out the other ear.
Bizarre. But
you know what I'm talking about.
I know. I mean, I try to keep up with your language. I try to understand what you're saying.
It's difficult for even someone like you to keep up with it. As I've talked in previous interviews, my higher intellectual capacity has in fact been a problem in my life, in that most of what I write I don't understand. Most of the words I use, I'm not even sure at times are real words. Sometimes I'll go home, I'll have a few cans of old speckled hen, lie down on the sofa, put my feet up, open up my sketchbook, and I'm confronted with things I am completely unaware of me ever writing.
It was almost divine. It came to you in a moment. And
I look at it and I go, did I write that? And then I realise it says by will at the bottom. I realise, yes, I did write that because I signed it at the bottom.
Could it have been by a different Will who left his sketchbook at your house?
because I recognise the biro penmanship. As
of course. The calligraphy.
And I look at it and I say, that is unbelievable. Words I've never even heard of. Far superior to any words used by most people on the planet.
More superior to sublicious?
More superior than any word you've ever heard used by any mammal, vertebra, or reptile, or even amphibian.
Really?
Sublicious.
Amphibians?
Well, I've not met any, but like I said,
it's more than that.
It's beyond human comprehension.
Bold words again. And talking of bold words, you tend to write in all bold when you use your Word documents. Is there a purpose behind this, or do you not know how to use Word, as many of your critics claim?
A lot of people say Will de Mitzel does not know how to take off caps lock.
But you do.
I do, but I choose to have the caps lock on so that the words are bigger and that people who read them can see them better. And I also
you've written before. You like the shape of capital letters.
I like italics too. I like them so slanted that you have to turn your head to read it.
Yeah, much of your work is written on a page that is more rhombus than rectangle.
A lot of my sentences aren't even wrote in the standard way. A lot of my books are read back to front. A lot of them are read at the end of a sentence onwards. Some of them are written with the letters the wrong way round, which actually started out as an accident because the keys on my typewriter were all in the wrong position.
All wrong.
But that was lucky for me because I was then able to create a world of pleasure which was previously unseen by most people.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
I mean, it's challenging for the reader, isn't it, that they know English, they know how to read.
They know English, but they don't know English.
I see what you've done there.
Yeah.
They understand the language, but the deeper part.
Or one could say, there is no English in their knowledge of English.
Fascinating.
And it's like I said in my book. Am I allowed to mention the title of my book?
You are.
The book originally was called The Horse That Went AWOL. People didn't understand that because it contained an acronym. And
what's that again?
It's a word made up of letters which means another word.
Fascinating. I learn something new every time I meet you.
AWOL means absent without leave.
AWOL.
Yeah, same like lol, which means laughing out loud, and also rolling on the floor laughing means something too. But this is all mainstream stuff. I try to stay away from it, which is the reason why. For me, it was an ironic jab at mainstream culture, and I don't think most people got that. So I stayed away from it entirely, and instead decided to call the book "The Horse That Didn't Grow Up" because of its childlike
mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I took from the book. I'm glad you confirmed it.
That's a subtext. The book was actually called "The Horse That Never Grew Up."
Yeah.
But he never grew up because of his childlike mentality, because he went to the Grand National, didn't fit in, and ran away.
But also, the horse is a metaphor.
It's a metaphor, yes. However, it is also about a real horse.
So the metaphor is so metaphorical that
it's real.
It has become real.
Yeah.
It has become literal.
The horse began to be hope. The Grand National became the planet. And the running away bit was just like running away.
Because horses tend to
run. Most of the time they do run, they do canter, and they can walk.
I've seen one trot.
You haven't.
Is it called... Why?
Because there's only 3 speeds for a horse.
You're laughing at me. I know I don't know my horses.
There's
but
walking,
I'll take it. Yes?
Cantering.
Yes.
And fucking sprinting.
Well, I'll take your word for it. You know horses better than I do.
The horse never grew up because it was unable to break free from the prism of despair that was its mind.
Fascinating.
And also because it had a leg injury and it couldn't run in the Grand National anyway, because if it stayed it would have been put down.
Interesting.
So it works on 2 different levels.
So
the horse is real and it's not real.
So is the horse being put down a representation of class structure and rebellion, or was the horse simply shot in the head?
It was hit in the legs with a bat.
And then it died?
No.
You're laughing because I don't understand. I'm sorry, but this goes beyond my Do
you think a horse can die with repetitive hits to the shin with a bat?
I honestly don't know bats well enough.
What about horses? Do you know them well enough?
I've met a horse.
Have you ever hit one in the leg with a brick?
Not on purpose.